When it comes to long term weight loss and management of it for more than just a short period of time, the really two big things that you're going to have to be conscious about is first adherence and identity change. And so, with that, there are a couple of different papers out there examining people who have lost a significant amount of body weight over a extended period of time. So, not just people losing weight for 12 weeks, 3 months, etc. More so people who have lost weight for more than 1 year and then being able to actually keep it up, keep it off for up to that 1 year, 5 years, etc. And they looked at people, and the common threads between most of those is that it has to be sustainable and it has to be realistic to your lifestyle. It has to be enjoyable as well, because every single diet out there works. Because when it comes to losing weight and getting into a fat loss phase, it comes back to you have to be in a caloric deficit. And so what that means is that you have to eat below your caloric maintenance. So eating less or consuming less energy than the energy needed to keep your weight stable. Now that's a very simple answer, and I understand it's not easy. And so with that, when you look at calorie restriction, getting into a caloric deficit, it really, your two levers falls into two camps. One is actually, the overarching is restriction. Your restriction falls into different camps. The first camp is that you're restricting food of some type of food group, of some type of macronutrient, or total calories in general underneath that bucket of restriction when it comes to the food, the caloric energy itself. And however way you want to slice up that pie, it's underneath that category. And then the other type of restriction that you can utilize is time. Really, those are like the only two levers if you look at it from a very bird's eye view of calorie restriction. When you're restricting calories, is it from just a total caloric intake? Is it from just a specific macronutrient like fats, carbs, or protein? Or is it from like a food group, you falling into like not eating, like you are only on eating meat, or you're not eating meat and you're cutting out carbs, you're cutting out fats, you're whatever, carnivore, keto, whatever label you want to subscribe to in that restriction bucket. And the other one is time. So using a tool called intermittent fasting. It's nothing magical about it, it's just a tool like anything else. And what that means is that you are only eating in a smaller window. So when you wake up to the time you go to bed, most people's feeding window is between those two periods because you're either awake or you're asleep. You just shorten that window. Say if you are awake for 16 hours, you only eat in that 12, in that 11, in that 8, in that 6. The number is completely up to you when it comes to preference. It's completely arbitrary. Of course, there are studies that examine different time inserts, but if you look at it zooming out, that's what you got. But the thing is, they all work because it all bubbles up into that big overarching caloric restriction. You're restricting in some shape or form, whether it be time or food calories in those different slices of that pie. Now, the other thing is identity change. You have to change your identity essentially. Like when you talk to anybody who have lost a significant amount of body weight over a long period of time, and you interview them and you ask them, like, how are you able to do this when so many other people are struggling? And the main consensus, the thread that you're probably going to be able to detect, the common thread between most of them, or all of them really, is that they had to forfeit and change who they are. Like certain habits that are not serving them anymore, certain behaviors, certain mindsets, all those different things for them to become a new person. And even your environment, the people you hang around. And so the behaviors and the mindset that you adopt will facilitate the thing that you were trying to become. So if there's two different type of people, say a person who is fit and a person who is not. You can't hold on to all those habits and behaviors of that non-fit person compared to the fit person. It's a trade-off. What are you trading off? And some people may be like, oh, you're sacrificing. Oh, you can have it all. You don't have to be so hardcore or aggressive with it. And that's true. You don't have to do any of this stuff. But it comes back to, if there's a certain outcome that you want, and if your outcome is a weight loss or a fat loss or a body composition change, a health marker improvement, improved in fitness, whatever, all those things require and demand specific actions and behaviors and a mindset to fuel those actions and behaviors for the desired outcome that you are wanting. It's just a non-negotiable. It's just what it takes. It's the entrance fee, it's the prerequisite, it's just what is demanded and required. And it's up to you if you want to do it or not. And so you have to be honest, is that outcome what you want? Are you willing to change who you are and all that stuff? And the degree of change and the degree of how many behaviors and habits and mindset shifts that you undergo is completely up to you. But if this was like a yardstick, a measuring stick, and you want to get to level 10, but you're only willing to do stuff up to a level 2 and 3, but you get upset that you're not at level 10 yet, then you're not doing all the things that you need to do to get there. And that is up to you. And as you go through the stages of change, there's certain mindset shifts that you're going to have to undergo. It's just a part of it. It's really is. And you have to be willing to kill off that old self of you. Because for you to get to these different levels, there's certain changes and perspectives and lenses that you will have to adopt to see things differently, to do certain things that you didn't know, but you have to go through each one first to get to them and be able to keep going. Like, for example, most people say they want to be rich. They want to own a business, and they only see the peak, the shining beacon at the top, but they don't understand what it's like to be in the trenches, to know what it really truly takes to get there. And to go through that, you're like clay. You have to be molded through pressure and heat and just be constantly being challenged over time to result in that product. And not everyone has what it takes. Everyone has the potential for it, but it comes back to, are you really willing to do that? And that's the thing. You have to be willing to change. It's just a part of the game. And so if you don't want that, then don't get upset. But those are the common denominators when it comes to people who are able to achieve certain things. And you can take this in like the context of like weight loss, fat loss, building muscle, getting more fit, being able to compete in a competition, a promotion, a self-actualization thing, or really anything. You have to be able to do it in a way that is adherence, so where it's sustainable, realistic, and enjoyable to you. But then you also have to change your identity. With everything, every action, every habit or behavior, there is a degree of identity change. Because if I want to identify as someone who writes, if I go from a state of not writing and then me writing, that is me shifting my identity to being a writer. You are now a writer. You don't have to be on top of a pedestal and publish all these books to be known as a writer. You doing the act of writing falls underneath the umbrella of identity of you are a writer now. Now, if you want to attach more onto that, saying, I am a writer who writes every day, I'm a writer who writes a daily column, or a weekly blog, newsletter, a book, etc., then each of those different milestones or achievements will require you to turn the degree of intensity in how much of a writer you are. Oh, you just write a Instagram caption or a weekly blog. Okay, you want to crank it up? Then you write daily, 500 words. You write 1,000 words daily. You kind of get the gist of that. And so with every single thing that you do, you are changing a behavior, you are changing a habit, you are changing an identity. If you choose not to do certain things, then you are self-identifying as a person who doesn't do those things. You identify as someone who scrolls on their screen more, who don't prioritize the thing that you tell yourself that you prioritize. Then it unravels a lot of truth, introspection, putting a mirror in front of you, and taking a lot of ownership over yourself. So pulling this back, if you want to improve in anything for the long duration, you have to be able to adhere to the process of it, and it has to become part of your lifestyle. Like, it just needs to become a part of you while changing your identity, killing off that old self of you, essentially. And it doesn't happen overnight. You must be willing to endure and have courage and to follow those curiosities and those obsessions to be able to become whatever you want or achieve whatever you want. So adherence, identity change are huge components. You must be willing and have courage. So, all right, guys, much love. I'll catch you guys in the next one.